everybody, and welcome to Against the Fence. This is your Friday news roundup, and with the real fan opinion. And we've had loads and loads of top juicy fight announcements lately, especially this past week. It's been hard to keep up with, and I must say, I wanted to go live a little bit sooner, but I've just been so busy, with all these sort of the things that have happened after the UFC 266 card. But I thought we'll do a bit of a Friday news roundup, and we'll kind of go through them all, give you some of my early predictions, my early thoughts, and things like that. So if you've got your own thoughts and your own opinions that you want to share as well, please do get them in the chat, and I'll be replying as I go along. So today we're going to be talking about that Jan versus Cory Sandhagen fight that got rescheduled, of course. Not rescheduled, but Sandhagen filling in for the champion Aljamain Sterling, of course. Then, of course, we're going to be talking about Rob Font versus Jose Aldo. We're also going to be talking about Pedro Munoz versus Dominic Cruz. We're going to be talking about Derrick Lewis versus Chris Daukaus, which has been a fun one as well, that's for sure. And we're going to be talking about Raulian Paiva versus Sean O'Malley, which got announced last night. And there's been so many more that have been confirmed as well, which we'll briefly go over, and then maybe even talk about some of those that are upcoming as well. Few housekeeping notes though before we dip into everything. This weekend we do have another UFC fight night, and we will be live doing a watch along. I believe that should be the times, however, will be 12 a.m. GMT, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and 4 p.m. PT. And it will be UFC Fight Night. Thiago Santos taking on Johnny Walker, which promises to be a top main card. So yeah, come and join us for the main card for that. It will be pretty fire, I'm sure. And that's pretty much it for the housekeeping notes. So let's delve straight into these fights then. And we're going to start off with Raulian Paiva versus Sean O'Malley, because it did get announced last night. It's the most latest of news, and that fight will be contested at UFC 269 in December 11th. And the news was broken out by Brett Okamoto, of course, the man himself. He gets all the juicy news. Wait, so we've got a few chats so far. Cory KO says, Ash, big topics indeed. So, Sai. But yeah, this fight I think is gonna be a top fight, to be honest. I think it's a test, I think, for O'Malley, and I don't want to undermine Paiva. I've undermined him before. He is currently on a 3-fight win streak, and he's coming off of that upset against Kyler Phillips. We all thought Kyler Phillips was going to beat Paiva, but he shocked us, and I think Kyler Phillips underestimated Paiva as well. But, he got the decision win, and now he's got that ticket to fight Sean O'Malley. Ash saying, so protecting O'Malley, he was calling out everyone and then get him. Yeah, to be honest, I mean, we're going to get into that. O'Malley is 2-0 this year so far, and he's coming off of that win against Chris Matinho, of course. So he's looking impressive so far. O'Malley has denied the fight, apparently, via Twitch when he was gaming last night. He did come out and say that he felt that he should be getting more pay for top 15 guys. So Ash is saying that he feels that O'Malley's being protected, but is O'Malley just maybe, I don't know, does he want more money, wait out, see out the contract that he's currently got, and then request more money from the UFC and then fight these top 15 guys? Because to be fair, it's not a bad shout on his part. You think about it, you sign a couple fight deal or whatever. Probably at the time when the UFC made the deal, they didn't expect him to, be this big star, really. You put him on such a low contract, you get a couple of fights in, you could have 5 fights or so, 6 fights before you're entering the top 15 kind of people. And I feel like the fans, especially his fans, are clearly pushing him for top 15, and aren't we all? But maybe he's being a little bit smart with things. I don't know. So I'm saying O'Malley has had some fun fight. Might argue they've been easy. Do you rate him yet? I rate him for his ability. I think his movement and his striking precision are what I rate in his game so far. I mean, we're still yet to see. We've seen him sort of face adversity. The Marlon Vera fight, of course, was one where Marlon just shut his leg down completely. He chomped away at that lead leg and, wasn't able to continue. It was a TKO defeat, of course, but I think he can bounce back from that. He's definitely got room to improve. I do rate him, but, it's still hard to tell what Sean O'Malley's really like at the moment, if you know what I mean. He's had wins, of course, against Thomas Almeida, which is impressive because Thomas Almeida is no slouch, but he beat him at a time where Thomas Almeida was kind of this rocky road, man. It was the perfect time to beat him, in arguably, but yeah, I think we will see the best Sean O'Malley very soon. Maybe Piver might bring it out of him. Personally, striking edge, O'Malley, I'd probably give purely based on the accuracy, like I said. However, Piver has a 44% accuracy himself. And he's a very long fighter. Has O'Malley fought sort of the fighter of his built before? I don't think we've really seen it. Of course, he beat, was it not Cub Swanson. Who did he beat? Who did he beat? Remind me, Ash. Who did he beat? Who did he knock out? Oh, it was Eddie Wineland, wasn't it? Eddie Wineland's quite long a little bit, but I wouldn't say he's sort of like as tall and long as Piver. So Ash saying, but yeah, O'Malley could be doing it the right way, slowly getting there. Yeah, and I mean, you kind of can't blame him, really. I think it is this push that he's had in popularity, which is driving us to want to see him against top echelon guys, And you look at those people who aren't so popular, like the Arnold Allens, for example. Let's name a few Brits, of course, who have taken that sort of gradual step. Arnold Allen's been in the UFC for so long. His popularity just hasn't caught up and grown as much. So that's why he's had racked up all these wins and not kind of, fought top 15 guys. I mean, now he's in top 15, he's looking good, but it's probably the right way to go about it, right? Moving on then, the jiu-jitsu department, Piver has got, I'm giving it to Piver purely because he's got a black belt. However, only 3 of his 21 wins are by submission. So it's quite low. His majority of his wins are by decision. But I think purely on rank, O'Malley's a purple belt himself. So yeah, I think experience there in the jiu-jitsu aspect in terms of belt rankings, you've got to give it for Piver for that reason. Clinch, I think the clinch game is fairly even. Stevens, Piver has a higher strike percentage, but Sugar Sean's could have the strength advantage to go out and in those scenarios. So it's quite a bit of a toss-up, in my opinion. But cardio-wise, however, you got to give it to Piver, right? Purely off of the numbers of decision wins that he's had, like I just mentioned, and the experience as well. Piver's had a lot of experience in mixed martial arts, and Sean O'Malley isn't that experienced, really, is he? When you look at him, power, of course, I'll give it to Sean O'Malley. Pretty obvious, right? It's pretty obvious. No debate there, of course. So yeah, and for my pick then for that fight, it's quite hard. It's really, really hard. I mean, Piver, you can't rule him out, really. The performance against Carlo Phillips was impressive. He could upset Malley. He really could. And I think O'Malley's got to get him out of there quick. And I think he can. So for that reason, I'm going with Sean O'Malley via TKO. I think he can get it done. I really do. I think he can get it done. And, part of me wants him to get him done as well. Like, I want to see this, as much as personality-wise, he doesn't really strike me as someone that I'd be interested in as such, or be a fan of. But his style, I guess so. I'm quite a fan of his style. So for those reasons, I'm still going to go with him for TKO. That's for sure. But let us know how you see that going in the comments section or in the chat, of course. Moving on then to Derrick Lewis taking on Chris Daukaus, and it's going to be a headliner on the 18th of December. So 2 big, powerful heavyweights. It's a good fight for Lewis, in my opinion, to come back and sort of get his groove back, and especially against a guy who's going to sort of stand and trade with him. But, what's great about Dalkus, though, is his precision, and he has surprisingly fast hands for a heavyweight, which could cause problems for Derrick Lewis. And Derrick Lewis, though, I think his strength is where it's going to really sort of come in that fight. Striking wise, it's hard. You've got the power of Derrick Lewis. He's quite precise in himself, to be fair. Chris Dalkus just keeps finishing these guys. Okay, now he's sort of entering the top echelon of the heavyweight division, and quick succession as well. And now he's going in against Derrick Lewis. It's a bit of a jump, in my opinion, against he's a seasoned guy in the top ranks. So for that reason, I've got to give the overall fight for Derrick Lewis, really. I don't really like this jump for Chris Daukaus. For Jiu-Jitsu side of things, I would probably give Daukaus. I think he, purely based on the camp that he's been around in, I think he's got more to offer on the ground that we're yet to see, to be honest. The clinch game is going to be difficult. It's going to be a bit of a toss-up. Maybe Derrick Lewis. I'd probably say give it to Derrick Lewis, but cardio-wise, I've got to give Chris Daukaus. I think power, of course, to Derrick Lewis. So for that reason, Derrick Lewis is going to get back on the winning ways, and I can see him. He'll definitely finish Daukaus. I think it's a bit of a jump up for him. But please do let us know what you feel about that fight. I think it's a perfect headliner. I really do. Derrick Lewis is all about those headlining slots. He's been in quite a few recently. So, I think he can shine under lights in that fight, that's for sure. But let's move on then to another fight. Let's talk about Pedro Munoz versus Dominic Cruz. And this fight will also be at UFC 269. And it's looking tasty, this card. I must admit, it's kind of started to pull together a little bit. I'm just looking here. So you're going to have Amanda Nunes versus Julian Pena. You're going to have Brandon Moreno versus Deiveson Figueiredo. That's another one to talk about. That third fight, that's going to be quite important. Cody Garbrandt against Kaka France. Montana De La Rosa's taking on Macy Barber. That's a fun fight. Ryan Hall is back against Derek Minner. Submissions galore in that fight. Ash's boy Alex Perez against Matt Schnell. And of course, Julian Paiva and Sean O'Malley. So that's looking fire. These next pay-per-views are looking insane. There's the best time to be a UFC fan right now for these upcoming cards, and the UFC are really putting them together to see off the end of the year. Ash saying yes to Derrick Lewis by knockout as well, so he agrees. But so like I said, Ash predicted this fight. He did call it, I must admit, and fair play to him. There will be, but the thing is what's going to be great about this is there's going to be a lot of trash talking, I'd imagine, between O'Malley and Cruz during fight week, if they're both on the same card, and imagine if, the bout order is yet to be confirmed, of course, but imagine if Sean O'Malley gets a slot ahead of Dominic Cruz, and O'Malley's going to be literally putting on some words for Dominic Cruz. He is going to tear him a new one with that, if that does happen, of course. Ash saying KO Pedro with leg kicks, possible. Okay, we'll get into that. But I feel that Munoz struggles against these experienced vets, and I did call it in the Aldo's fight. I said that going in. He's lost against Frankie Edgar, and I just felt that these experienced guys, he just needs to get past them. It's kind of weird though. He's kind of experienced in himself, but just not on the sort of level of your Frankie Edgars and Dominic Cruz's and your Jose Aldos. So, you got to wonder where his mindset's going to be at in this. And I think those fights are probably, maybe a little bit starstruck in those fights. Maybe that's what he did get a bit starstruck. So be interested to see where his mindset is going into this Cruz fight. But Cruz's wild footwork will cause Munoz problems. However, Munoz's calf kicks, as Ash has just mentioned, will be fire. It will be just enough to slow down Cruz's movement. And we started to see that in the Casey Kenny fight. We did early on. Casey Kenny was chomping down at those legs, and he definitely slowed Cruz down. But Cruz was still able to maintain some level of pace on the fight and really outpoint Casey Kenny. So I think Munoz can do a lot more damage with his kicks than Casey Kenny can. So if Pedro can put it on Cruz early with those kicks, I can see him. He could get Cruz out. He could get Cruz out of there. I'm really finding it hard to pick. I really am. Ash is going with Pedro. It's quite, I guess in some ways it's quite easy to go with Pedro, isn't it? Because Cruz, you've definitely seen he's definitely not the Cruz of old. We know that. We've seen that in his last few fights. And to go a decision against someone like Casey Kenny, who's kind of on the rise, is a bit of a testament to that, really, isn't it? You think if you throw him in there against a guy like Pedro Munoz, he's not going to fare very well. He did lose against former champ Henry Cejudo as well. I think Pedro can get him out of there. I do, and it pains me to say that because I do admire Dominic Cruz. I love his footwork. I love the angles that he can create. He's so smart in the octagon as well. But yeah, I guess coming into this, Cruz has got to be smart. He really got to use his fight IQ in this fight to perhaps get past Munoz. On the ground, it's going to be a toss-up. It really is. We don't normally see Dominic Cruz on his back. He's normally difficult to get hold of. Pedro Munoz is difficult to hold down as well. So I don't really see this fight going to the ground. I don't. But part of me thinks that maybe Cruz needs to mix it up and maybe try and score some takedowns. Pedro is really good at getting to his feet, but even if Cruz can get him down and then pop back up, that's fine. You scored a point at least in the takedown side. So I think it will either be Pedro via TKO or maybe Dominic Cruz can get the decision if he's able to kind of light him up with his hands. Power of advantage I would give to Munoz, 100%. Clinch game, however, maybe Cruz. I could see that. Maybe having the advantage in that area. Ash saying I think Pedro will win. Ooh, yeah. Okay, so yeah, Ash is going Pedro. I'm going with Pedro as well. I think Pedro gets it done as well. Okay, then let's move on to the next fight then. This fight's going to be insane. Cruz, what's your next, son? That's a good point as well, Ash. That's a very good point. We have seen Dominic Cruz get submitted before in the past, way early on in his career against Uriah Faber, of course. So, yeah, he's got to watch out for that. That could be, we could see a Pedro submission. Who knows? But okay, right, let's move on to this other fight then. This other fight, which is going to be so fun, and it's in the bantamweight division again. Rob Font takes on Jose Aldo on the 4th of December, and that's going to be a headliner. The venue is yet to be confirmed, but I did say in the last aftermath show that we've done for 265, I did say that could headline a fight night in Brazil. So, if that is the case, give me a fucking praise, man. Give me a praise if that's happened. It makes sense. But I do somehow think that, COVID might restrict that. We're still a bit unsure with things. Of course, the UFC 267 card is going to be in Abu Dhabi, but they already had that stuff all locked down with those guys anyway. So if they can sort it out with Brazil, that will definitely headline Brazil. And I think it'd be really good for the UFC to return to Brazil and put Jose Aldo as a headliner, especially when he's, the way he's at the moment. Because If Jose Aldo wins, this could be a coming out party for him at bantamweight, 100%. If he's able to sort of get past the precise boxing of Rob Font, you know, that's going to be the anomaly in this fight. Font's going to be obviously the much younger guy. He's gonna, you know, it's just Aldo's kicks though. Can Rob Font deal with Aldo's kicks? You know, in the past I've slated Aldo for not using his kicks as much, and I think I had a conversation with Ash at some point, and I do feel after seeing the way that Conor McGregor injured his leg against Dustin, it does make me think that maybe those microfractures in the leg is what's kind of prevented Aldo from kicking. I know he's had various injuries in the past, numerous injuries on, I think, his knee, so that prevented him from throwing his kicks. But we've recently seen Aldo start kicking more, you know, and it's great to see. I think on his day, Aldo with these thunderous leg kicks can beat anyone, 100%. And if he does implement that into his game against Rob Font, I think it's going to be a horrible night for Rob Font. Going back on the Pedro thing, Sai saying, I mean, Pedro does it. He's going to be standing. Yeah, I've got more confidence in his hands. Yeah, it's just going to be the angles of Cruz. That's going to be very difficult. Ash saying Rob Font KO. Watch your tongue, sir. I don't know. Is Rob Font capable of getting him out there? I'm not sure, man. I really am not sure. It's going to be difficult to get Aldo out there at bantamweight. I know we saw it with Pidian, but I don't know, man. Rob Font. I'm just going to have a bring up Rob Font. He's got 8 knockouts out of his 19 wins. Who has he stopped? So he last stopped Marlon Moraes. Okay, bit smaller, heavy leg kicks again. All right, dealt with them, got past them, but you know, I guess it's the reach of Font is going to be a problem as well. I'm looking on here, Thomas Almeida head kicked him. Okay, yeah, that's, you know, if you're looking at Aldo, going back to that Thomas Almeida blueprint is probably a good idea because they've both got similar sort of Muay Thai style. It's just Aldo's kicks are a lot more thunderous than Thomas Almeida's. Thomas Almeida's punches might be... no, I wouldn't say... No, all around. They've got similar styles in terms of stances and things, but I still think Aldo is better in every area than Thomas Almeida, I'm afraid. And I think Rob Font's beat some really, really good guys in there. It's going to be a very difficult fight for Jose Aldo. Absolutely. You know... And if Aldo does beat Rob Font, like I said, it can be a coming out part of bantamweight. However, there's still going to be a long list of people in line ahead of him, especially if Cory beats Jan. That throws everything out of the water, you know, because you've got TJ above Aldo. TJ's got to come back. He has a win over Cory. You've also got Peter Yan, who beat Aldo. He's going to be ahead of the line, and Jan's also going to be wanting a rematch against Aldo. So it's going to be so difficult. It's going to be hard to manage. So, you know, if Jan wins, however, against Cory, then Aldo's not that far off. May still have to take a fight after that. Who knows? But my overall striking wise, it's difficult to call, man. Overall striking technique, I've got to give it to Aldo. Now, don't get me wrong, boxing wise, what about? Aldo's boxing's really good as well. On its own, you know, he's worked on a lot on his hands as well as his overall Muay Thai game. It's going to be difficult. I think you've got to give it Aldo purely based on Aldo's kicking game against Font, I'm afraid. It's got to be done. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, that's clear. Aldo's Jiu-Jitsu is, you know, been underrated for years. You don't really see it much. I think Aldo has it in his game to really cause problems for Font on the ground. But Font's ground and pound's going to be difficult in guard. That's the problem. That's the key there. If he's able to open up that guard, land some shots, he could get Aldo out there. But, you know, I think maybe that's probably likely if he's able to rock Aldo, of course. Then, you know, as soon as you're rocked, your jiu-jitsu almost goes out. When you're in survival mode, you know, you might not submit him. Ash saying, yeah, man, like you said, if Aldo throws as many kicks as Pedro, I would say Aldo, but front man is unreal. Yeah, no, he's unreal. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, man. I'm all for that. Yeah, clinch wise, I'd also favour Aldo as well. I'm gonna pick Aldo in this, you know. I mean, it's gonna be that clean, the precision of font, which it could be a nightmare for Aldo. It's gonna be, if he catches him coming in, it's possible. Okay, I would go font via knockout or Aldo via decision is probably likely. But imagine if Aldo gets a TKO and it is in Brazil. Hoo-wee! Again, those scenes. Okay, so main events only. What's your one to watch this quarter? Oh. Out of these guys that I've literally just mentioned. Out of everyone. Okay, I'll do that at the end. Remind me at the end. Yeah. I'm going with Aldo in this. Yeah, overall. 5-round decision, possible. He's been in multiple 5-round fights. I believe Font has only maybe been in the one, and that was the Cody Garbrandt fight. Yep, that's correct. So the experience of Aldo is always going to be there. So that's the reason. For that reason, I'm going with Aldo. So let's move on to Peter Yan versus Cory Sandhagen, the big fight. And it's going to be contested at UFC 267 on this month, October 30th. I believe Cory knew he would be the one to step up during this UFC 2, and I think it was at UFC 266. I think there was an inkling there. He knew he was going to be the one. But at the same time, you've got to admire Peter Yan for still fighting on this card. You know, he could have decided to wait out for Sterling, but instead he's going to take this Cory Sandhagen fight. And Cory's coming off of the loss, of course, to TJ Dillashaw. So, you know, props to that guy. Props to that guy for risking his position at the moment. Maybe he's really confident against Cory Sandhagen. You know, why wouldn't you be if you Peter Yan? You've only got 2 losses. That last Ross, okay, disqualification shouldn't really count though as like a proper loss. But for Sandhagen, he's sort of found his golden ticket, really, hasn't he? You know, this opportunity is phenomenal. It's just come out of the blue. It's you know, to the guy you last lost to, he's injured. The current champ injured, and you know you're the next guy in line. Aldo maybe could have got the shot because he's coming off of a win, but you know we've already seen Aldo versus Yan not too long ago, and Yan versus Cory is quite an intriguing fight. But like I said, Sandhagen has the opportunity to disrupt things in this division. And I would love to see it. I really would. But I feel that Yan hasn't fought anyone the sort of height and frame of Sandhagen, really, has he? Sandhagen's an awkward fighter. And he's really good against these small guys. However, you know, and he was close in that TJ fight. You must admit, right? He was very close. But I think TJ's speed was what troubles Sandhagen most. Speed and a bit of experience. Of course, being in 5-round fights, TJ's been in numerous 5-round fights, and his cardio, is phenomenal. But at the same time, Yan isn't as fast as TJ. Okay? He's very precise. He's very good with his footwork, Peter Yan, of course. He's very sneaky. He can get in real quick. But in terms of overall movement, it's not like a TJ Dillashaw type. So it's a real good test for Sandhagen because, yeah, okay, maybe some people felt that he beat TJ, okay, but if Sandhagen gets past Yan, then of course he can get past TJ, surely, right? So it's going to be really good for Cory Sandhagen. I think Peter Yan edges it in striking, of course. Grappling's hard. Grappling's hard, but Sandhagen's had a couple of submission wins, hasn't he? I'm sure he has. He's quite crafty on the ground. You know, he nearly had... Did he nearly have TJ in problem? I'm sure he did. Let's have a look real quick at Cory Sandhagen. So Cory Sandhagen he's only had 3 submission wins. There was first one armbar. You had one via triangle, one via rear naked choke. Yeah, I think the size of Sandhagen is going to be difficult for Jan. I think those long arms of his, I think he's capable of sinking in the rear naked choke, absolutely, if he's able to take the back. And I think he could probably take the back pretty quick. So yeah, for that reason, I think I'm going to give Sandhagen the edge on the ground, I'm afraid. Could come back to bite me, of course, absolutely. But if you disagree with me, please do let me know. It'd be interesting, and to have your thoughts on why that's not the case. Clinch game, Sandhagen. But then the power, I'm going to give PDR. So it's quite even. It's quite even, really. Even Steven, but yeah, it's definitely going to be... this fight is for an interim belt. Yes, Si, this is for an interim belt. So, yeah, Ash, we are off the races if Aldo wins. Stone's a clown. The heavyweight bout in August was... And Ngannou wasn't even injured. Yeah... Yeah, I know. Well, let's not talk about that. That's still a very difficult. They definitely did Ngannou dirty in that. There's no doubt about that. Funny feeling Cory knockout, says Ash. Oh, yeah, I think he can get the upset. I really do. I think he can. Overall, my pick though, I don't really want to pick it. Imagine if this fight's a draw. Imagine if this fight's a draw. I mean, you have to move on. You'd have to be like, okay, Jan, rematch, Sterling, boom, have that. Aldo, if you get past Rob Font, there's Cory Sandhagen. That's what you have to do. I would like it to be a draw. Part of me wants it to be a draw. Because I can't pick between these two fighters. I want to go... for now, I'm going to go with Jan. It could change down the line, absolutely. I'm going to go with Jan just purely because after seeing that TJ fight, and he can crack for sure, and maybe cause Sandhagen some problems. So, Jan. But then Sandhagen really had his moments against TJ. Fuck it, Peter Jan's decision. I'll go Peter Jan's decision for now. But please, I will come fight night. I will have a different opinion, 100%. It's early doors at the moment. So saying, just wish TJ would have taken it. If TJ would have taken it and still got injured. Actually, no, sorry, no. I'm getting mixed up while I'm doing it. I really wish TJ'd for it. I think we jumped at the gun when we found out the news of the weekend and thought, that's it, TJ's going to be next in line. We're going to get that ultimate fight that it's more interesting, really, than the Aldo fight. But he's just not to be, man. He's still recovering from knee surgery. Okay, let's go back to the question then. Who's my one to watch out of all of these fights? Personally, William Piper. No, I'm kidding. Jose Aldo, mate. Jose Aldo. He's not done yet. He is not done yet. I think he was impressive against Munoz. You've got to give him that. And, so how many losses has he had at bantamweight? It's literally just the one. Am I correct? Just the one loss against Peter Yan, who's obviously former champion, and won his fight. Of course, he lost against split decision Marlon Moraes, sorry. Aldo won that fight. Aldo won that fight against Marlon Moraes, 100%. I wonder if Ash disagrees with me. It's definitely, and then the one before that, he lost to featherweight champ Volkanovski. So, look, man, he's there. He's going to be my one to watch out of all of them. Oh, don't say that, Sash. I'm afraid I am. But, they're the kind of the big fights that were announced. There was other ones as well. Of course, I should address this. Islam Makhachev now has a new opponent in Dan Hooker, and that will be happening at UFC 267 as well, October 30th. Man, Hooker's got balls. Hooker has got balls of steel. Look, going into the fight against Hasbrat, I did wonder, is Hooker the type of guy to turn up to compete and to win, or is he the type of fighter to turn up because he loves fighting and he wants a payday? He just loves getting paid for doing what he does. Is he a real winner? We saw he was a real winner against Hasbrat. However, to take a fight against Islam Makhachev, mate, what are you doing? This guy's on a tear. No one wanted to fight Makhachev, and you've risked it. Fair play to him for stepping up. He is doing it for money reasons. He probably does need the money. He is staying in Las Vegas until that fight happens because, you know, he doesn't want to fly back to New Zealand. He has visa issues going to Hasbrat fight. So, and I guess this was the only fight really to take if you want a quick turnaround. It's a horrible fight, though. It's a horrible fight. I think Makhachev can get Hooker down. Of course, Hooker's going to be difficult. He's going to be very long and awkward for Makhachev to make to get in there. Hooker can catch him, absolutely. But if you compare Thiago Moises, Makhachev's former opponent, against Hooker, they're both sort of similar sizes, maybe similar reach as well. But I think Hooker's more precise than Moises. So Hooker's, I think, patience and precision is what's going to do well in it for him in that fight. But I see Makhachev doing what Makhachev does. I think he gets the submission win again, grinds that out. So yeah, that's my pick on that. Then we've also had Darren Elkins against Cub Swanson. Finally, Cub Swanson is getting a sort of a veteran fight, and that's a fun fight, man. That's an insane fight. You know, who's actually also in that on that card? I can't think. Where is it? I don't think. Was it confirmed? Which card was it? I've completely lost. I'm not sure which card that was on. I've got it written down. Bollocks. I think it would be a good one, though. I think it could be... is it one on December cards? I feel like it could be. I swear I wrote it down. Right, I'm going to check this up real quick. Bear with me. I mean, where do you get your news from normally? I get my news from Marcel Dwarf personally. Another Bontorian versus Ravel. That's another good one that has been recently announced for flyweight. I think I fancy Bontorian in that one personally. Darren Elkins, Cub Swanson, December 18th. So who else is on that card? December 18th. Was that the one I said for... it's going to be the same card as Lewis versus Dalkus, that headliner. So, yeah, at featherweight as well, of course. Man, Darren Elkins, always someone who surprises you. You can't count that guy out. That guy's out. And, you know, yeah, he's coming off that win against Derrick Lewis. Derrick Lewis was a much smaller guy in that fight. TKO as well, round 2. Yeah, back-to-back wins. 2 in a row for Darren Elkins after losing 4 in a row. Still, you know, very difficult guy to get out there. Against Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson, he's still a crafty veteran. I can't see him. He did lose against Giga Chikadze, of course. That was a difficult fight. Did beat Daniel Pineda. Kron Gracie was probably... That was the fight, actually. I thought, okay, Cub's not done. Because I thought Kron Gracie was going to beat him. Especially when he came off of losing 4 in a row there. So, Giga was a tough fight. I had to think the grit of Darren Elkins could get him through that fight against Cub Swanson. And I'd imagine Cub could be favourite in that fight. Great fight, says Ash. 2 legends as well, yeah. I'm going for Darren Elkins. Darren Elkins, of course. Couple of fights then that kind of are yet to be confirmed. Of course, Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier. I touched upon that in the last news thing. We're still waiting to find out whether that's going to happen. Like, come on, get it done. What's the hold up here? You know, it's just, they're elongating it out massively. But one that is supposedly going to be confirmed soon, I think, Israel Adesanya versus Robert Whittaker, 22nd of January, because Israel Adesanya is moving to the US. That's the latest news. That City Kickboxing are moving to the US, and that's going to be so good if Izzy can stay in the US. I can see it happening. You know, his stock is gonna go massive, man. Like, whew, definitely good move. Can't wait for that fight to be made. Hopefully that's in January. Great start to the year, of course, as well. I'd imagine that will be the first pay-per-view of the year. And yeah, what an exciting one. Well, I guess my final thoughts then is do join us this weekend for a watch along for Santos versus Walker. It's going to be a fun one. We got stacked out October, man. We got 5 fight cards across this whole month, and then it leads into 2 back-to-back pay-per-views. And I tell you what, we're going to be busy people during those back-to-back pay-per-views. And if you fancy being a part of the channel, whether it be a fan cam or the People's Pick Show, do get in touch with us in the email. The email is in the description. We want your engagement. So both of those pay-per-views back-to-back, we're going to need guys for both fan cams and People's Picks. So if you'd like to be a part of that, please do get in touch. That'll be amazing. That's all I've got time for this evening. I hope and you've stayed patient with me for this whole video, and get your thoughts in the comment section. It'd be interesting to hear from you guys. We do reply to as much as we possibly can. We'll see you this weekend, guys. Peace out. Ta-da.